Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Classic Conversations. And today I have a very dear friend of mine that I met in my John Jay days at John Jay. She is a bartender. She is an actress. She just pretty much does it all. Oh man, and I'm so glad to have her on today. We've been trying to make this happen for a while, but it never has. So, and we're here, but we're here now. So, what's going on, Gigi?
Living the dream, Isaiah. Thank you so much for having me. I am just so excited. First of all, I've never been on anyone's show, so this is a first. But yeah, I'm just so excited to just be here with you. Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, no. Let's just get right into it. The pandemic has been tough on all of us, and as we kind of sort of start to like pull out of it, at least that's the hope. What how has that been for you?
So, the pandemic and all things COVID really kind of rocked me, to be completely honest. My mom is a bit older, so like she was my number one concern when everything happened. I refused to see her. I stayed away. But like overall, I think I learned a lot about myself. What it meant to be in the house, what it meant to like entertain myself. And yeah, so I think I grew throughout it, which is like, a good thing. It wasn't required, but I think that I did the best I could with it, like a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. So, did you okay? So, what were like your initial thoughts when this all first started happening?
Well, honestly, I couldn't believe it. It was a bit of disbelief because we are America. Like I'm like we're a leader of the free world, and to see how quickly that changed due to one sick person just kind of was just mind-boggling, just to say the least. But I think once it became like the all the protections were in place and it was a lot of back and forth. I'll be honest, me personally, I followed everything to the T. Mask,
Right,
gloves, hand
right,
sanitizer. I
right.
was that person. I was like, I still wear masks, and a lot of people are like, yeah,
Yeah,
no. And I'm like, listen, we saw what one cough did before, so I'm not taking any chances yet. But
right.
yeah, it just was really learning how to survive through it, and partially trying to understand how it happened, which is, not
Mhm.
something anyone could possibly understand.
So, okay, cool. So let's take it back a little bit. What was growing up like for you?
Um, Growing up, so I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I am the youngest of three kids. My oldest sister she's old enough to be out of the house by the time I was born. So it's just me and my brother. I don't know if you know my brother has CP. So that was it allowed me to grow up understanding things a lot of other kids didn't. So that was, good. But it was me, my mom, my dad, my brother, just really, I want to say lower middle class, if that's even a thing. My dad worked for MTA, so he was a blue collar guy. He loves work with his hands. And I had a really good childhood. My mom was always really involved in my schools. She was always in the PTA. She always had a really good relationship with my teachers. And yeah, I think it was a good, well-rounded childhood, I would say.
That's awesome. So what were like when you were growing up, what were some of the things that you liked to do growing up?
Growing up, I was an outside kid. I always say I was really privileged to grow up in the era that I did before all the TV, cable, social media, like
Right.
everything at fingertips, because I was up at 8 a.m., breakfast made, and if it wasn't a school day and I was out to school, I was outside with my friends, jumping double dutch, just hanging out outside, getting that fresh air. Love to read, so always had a book not too far away. I was kind of like I like Barbies, so I collected Barbies. Yeah, so I just was kind of active and curious by nature as a child, into anything that I felt would be enriching. Oh, I loved animals, wanted to be a vet. Until I learned that you had to cut the animals open, and I was like, okay, let's just make enough money so we can become a philanthropist. And so that kind of switched. I always loved animals, always had like anything I could find. It became the point my mother was like, listen, we have lizards, hamsters, dogs, cats, birds, nothing else. Nothing else. So yeah, that was my childhood.
Awesome. So, let's talk a little bit about how you got into bartending. Like, how did that whole journey start?
Oh, okay, so that's a good one. So I was always making drinks. At any event, my actual signature was my pot of punch. So I would make a pot of punch with anything I could get my hands on, and Jello shots. And I would just, what I like to do was make it as strong as possible, but where people didn't know that it was as strong as it was. And it became like my hidden, like, little secret agenda. So it started, I'll say before I turned 21, but let's just say when I turned 21. But that's where the love of it, came from. Then one of my cousins like took me to a bartending class, and she was like, "Come on, let's do this," and it was like so much fun. And from there, I took another course, got certified, and have kind of been going ever since.
So, what's your favorite drink to make?
My favorite drink to make, I would have to say, is a Maker's Manhattan. That is my favorite. So I feel like a traitor because a lot of people, and when people watch this, they're gonna say, "I know Gigi likes Jameson and ginger because I am an Irish whiskey girl." However, my first true love was Maker's Mark, which is a Kentucky bourbon. But the reason I like to make the Maker's Manhattan is because it's like a delicate. If you do too much, it kind of ruins it. So it's just like a perfect cocktail that requires like a little bit of finesse, and it's just delicious.
Oh, sort of art imitating life. You gotta find that perfect balance between.
Exactly.
Cool. That's cool. So if you can give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
What would it be? Um, Continue to embrace everything that makes you different. You hear often that the youth is wasted on the young because by the time we learn the things that are really valuable, we're older. But I think I would just say be patient, embrace the things that make you different, and love yourself a bit more. This is actually a great question because being a plus size bigger woman, it's so interesting to see how the world has shifted and how plus women are viewed in many different ways. So it's just like saying to myself, essentially, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks. It matters what you think about yourself, and always love yourself and uplift yourself. And again, just embrace all things that are you, that make you you.
Hmm. So, what advice would you give somebody that's trying to get into bartending?
I would say be creative. Enjoy people. So I don't want to go too much off your question, but my long-term goal is to open a bar. And the reason is because one of my first jobs, was at a bank, and one of my customers owned a bar. And his bar became the place where we celebrated everything, every good time, every bad time, every sad time, that just became our hub. And I've said to myself then, I want to create something like this where people can make these types of memories. So I would say find a purpose behind it. Like, I like being creative with my cocktails, but long term, I want to create an environment for people to come and have life moments with me. So just, yeah, take your time. It's a science to it. I know that, everyone always gets so worried about the technicalities. Have fun with it. Just be unique. Find something that just makes you happy within it and do it.
Oh man, that's beautiful. So speaking, all right, so we kind of touched on this a little bit, but do you have any other hobbies besides bartending?
Besides bartending, I love to cook.
Mm.
I do love to cook. I consider myself a foodie, except I don't like mushrooms. And people are like, I mean, you can't not like stuff. So, but I love to cook and experience new cuisines. I also love to read. I mentioned that's something that carried over from when I was a child. Love a good book. I'm the person who will stay up all night to finish a book if it's that good. And I like to do like special effects makeup during Halloween. I love all scary things. So I spend a lot of time practicing special effects makeup and trying to gross myself out.
Sweet. So let's dive into that a little bit. I have a few follow-up questions. So what's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie, okay. So so I love the horror. I love all like B horror. That's my genre. I love slasher, sleepaway camp, like the gory. I love those like to the core. However, if I had to pick one, and it's difficult, but it's Insidious 2. So Insidious Volume 2. If you ever saw Insidious, they moved into the house. They found that kind of deal.
I did.
The reason why the second one is one of my favorites is because it has one of my favorite camera shots in a horror movie that I've ever seen. And they're sitting at the table and they're like talking back and forth. So the camera is panning back and forth from, character to character. And then they go back the next time and the ghost is there. It scared the hell out of me, but I was like, it was so creative. That was so perfect. So I always pick that one as my favorite horror movie. But I'm a Freddy Krueger girl. I can watch Freddy Krueger all day. I love Jason. Yeah, I love horror movies. Like any horror movie I can watch, except for the new Freddy Krueger. I stand by it. I saw it once, but I will never watch it again.
All right. No, that's cool. So what are you currently reading right now, if anything?
There is a Dean Koontz that I am into. So in line with liking horror, I read a lot of Dean Koontz and Stephen King, all trippy, like horror thrillers, sci-fi stuff. So this last one is about kids who have been abducted and they wake up in like this facility and they're all trying to get home and you're trying to figure out what the black thing is growing in the basement. Yeah, a really weird book.
That's cool. So what is when you're not working or bartending, what is a typical off day for you? What is your ideal off day?
My ideal off day is probably, let's see, I love TikTok, so I scroll TikTok a bit. It definitely takes up a little bit of my time. I film, I try to film every day, like a cocktail. I'm always writing cocktail recipes. That is me. Or curled up with a glass of red wine and a book. It just really depends on the energy of the day. But yeah, I like to really relax. I like to get into my hobbies and just take the time. Some people say the off days and they're like, I'm going to do this. And some days I'm like, no, we're going to just be in the moment.
Okay, so I kind of touched on it a little bit in the intro, but like you want to tell everyone how we met?
Oh yeah, I love it. So we met what was the first acting class? With Jody. I think our first acting class was with Jody. And I want to say it was like series where we were acting a bit, but we were more so learning about like the foundations of acting, because I don't know if you remember, we were in this classroom. We weren't in the black box.
Right.
And she would have us do like different things there. So yeah, like
I
one of my
if I remember correctly, I think it was Women in Theater.
women in theater. Yes, yes. Okay, yes, exactly. Which was amazing. Like Jody was always just yeah.
I've been trying to interview her for the longest.
Oh yeah, we'll work on getting her because she is just phenomenal. Just her mind is just brilliant. But we met in Women in Theater, and then it just grew from there. I know we were in Antigone together.
Oh boy,
Um,
that was a heck of an experience.
yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. I think what was like? Can I ask you a question? What was the most difficult thing of Antigone? Like, what did you find the
Oh,
most difficult?
uh, there were so many difficult things. I mean, just trying to. Okay, so I started out as a stage manager, like, uh,
Yes.
and then I remember the role, like everybody that had the person that had gotten the role of Tiresias had dropped out, and then the understudy couldn't drop out for the couldn't make it for like the most stupidest reason. I think he was trying to further his rap career or something like that. I swear that's the text that I got. So Jody was just fed up with it, and then she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna eliminate the role of Tiresias," and I was like, you know what about me? And then she's like, I was like, she's like, you sure you could do it? And at first she was like, no, because it required like a costume change and everything like that, and it kind of it kind of takes me a minute to like get dressed and do everything. So she didn't think that would be ideal, but apparently we worked it out, and I was nervous as all hell. I remember the first performance that we did. I couldn't even remember my lines. I'm like we go over these. We've been over these lines for like the last 6 months, and I'm like, I'm reading these every day, and I'm like, what is going on? And so no, but then eventually we got the hang of it, and it turned out well. Turned out well. I'm
Yeah,
really happy with it.
exactly. I agree. It just, I was, do you remember, I was thinking about our first, remember we had to choreograph going across like the student law or the like
Right,
from the,
right, right.
oh man, that was just everything. I miss acting. Like, I really do miss it. I've thought about joining a small group. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, I haven't acted in a long time. I've done like two indie films, but like
Okay.
other than that, I haven't really dabbled in acting. But putting something I'm putting something together, which we'll talk about later, and
Okay.
hopefully you can help me with it and be a part of it. So
Of
yeah.
course. I will
Um,
support you anyway.
so yeah, okay, so let's see. If okay, so what are you most what are three things that you're grateful for?
What am I grateful for? I am grateful for my mom. She always comes like number one. It is, I oftentimes feel like people take for granted um, their mother's overbearingness or annoying times and things of that nature. And I, for one, am just so grateful for all of it, and to still, to have her. I am grateful for, I have a really uh, close circle, like a close circle of friends who, you know, you have those people who surround you who just always want you to bring your best light out. And I will say that they really always encourage me and guide me and help me through things like that. And I would say the last thing would be for, hmm, what am I grateful for? So my mama, my friends, and well, I want to put my brother in there too. And it was my mama and my brother, because it's always the three of us, always the three of us. So my mom and my brother, my friends, and then I guess I am grateful for for each day that I get. Like I know that might sound cliche, but you know, again, it's just always an opportunity to be your best self, to learn something new, to try something new. You know, each day I go out and sometimes you just have to be thankful for the day because so many people have plans that they won't be able to fulfill. So, yeah.
What is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Ooh, you have some, these are great questions. My best piece of advice um might have to be, I mean, I had one when I was younger, and my dad used to always say, "Lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part." Um, it really that was my motto throughout like middle school when I used to have a project due the next day, and I would pop up the night before with it. So that was when I heard a lot. And then the other is don't sweat the small stuff. It is all small stuff in the grand scheme of things. If something's upsetting you now, think about how important it'll be next week, and if it won't be, chin up and move on. So I would have to say two. Sorry.
No, awesome, awesome. So I always let my guests ask me a question or two. If you have two, that's fine. But so I always let my guests ask me a question or two if something that you've always wanted to know, something that you wanted to ask me. I really don't care what it is. So do you have anything for me?
Of course. My first question is wrestling. How did you get into wrestling? And like, yeah,
So you mean my wrestling fandom or just the whole journey of me getting into the business and getting in the ring?
getting in the ring. I think that's so cool.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of an obscure journey. Like I've really never disclosed this before, so I guess this is kind of like an exclusive. Uh
Ooh.
so um So when I was 15, I saw a wrestling school like near my house, and it was like in the back of this auto garage, and you had to and there was just like a really like crappy ring set up, and just it was like a thin mat with like boards under it and stuff. Like it wasn't a standard wrestling ring. It's more like a boxing ring. And
Oh,
so
okay.
so yeah, I had we were I forgot where we were driving home from. It was me, my mom, and I think my brother and my sister in the car. And I had asked her. I was like, because she knew that I always like wrestling. Like I've been into wrestling for as long as I can remember as a fan. But I had asked her. So I'm like, so she had said to me, uh, do you know that there's handicap wrestling? And I was like, no, I never saw that. Like now I know because of obviously I've been. But she asked me, she had told me that, and I was like, hey, what can I get involved? And she's like, no, no way, you're gonna get hurt. There's any other thing, all the necessary things that your parent might think about when getting into contact sports or whatever. So you know me not taking no for an answer, I actually went down to the wrestling school myself, and I begged the guy that was running it to kind of give me a shot. And he goes, "Hey, you gotta be 18 to start training." And so I was a little bit away from that, but he said, if you get your parents to sign a waiver, then I can train you. So and then he's like, oh, it's $2,400 to start training. So I'm like, I have no way. I don't know where I'm gonna get the money, whatever. I wasn't working at the time. So I had kind of forged my mom's signature to like on the waiver. And then to get around the training fee, I kind of just help clean the wrestling school and set up the ring and everything like that. Kind of learned everything from the ground up, and then I eventually started training when I was 15. Had my first match at 16, and been doing it ever since. Well, I kind of been in and out of the ring because of outside injuries, but I haven't wrestled, haven't been in the ring in like a decade. But I'm hoping to get back into it.
Yes. That's amazing. That is so amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so honored to have like an exclusive. Yes,
Yeah,
thank
I've
you.
never shared that with anybody.
And then I know that you have, your show, and you have your do you do a podcast? But what else do you do for fun?
It's okay. So there's this channel, like the Classic Chronicles channel, which is just basically vlogs and interviews with awesome people like you. Then there's my podcast that I do with my best friend Dave. It's called Shooting the Shit with Dave and Izzy. We just started that. We're up to episode 8. Episode 8 just dropped an hour ago, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
So yeah. No, so what do I like to do for fun? I'm a huge gamer. I love playing video games. Like I I, I try to play everything that's new, but like but I'm kind of more of like a old school video game guy, because I like the stuff that I grew up with, like the stuff on Super Nintendo and
Mm-hmm.
Genesis, and then like up until like PlayStation 2. I like all of that stuff, and but I do play like current stuff. Like right now I just finished, and people are gonna freaking laugh at me for this, because they're like, oh my god, that game came out like almost 2 years ago and you're just finishing now. But no, I just finished Spider-Man Miles Morales, and yeah. So and I'm working, and I'm finishing. I'm almost done with a game called Far Cry 6, which is, yeah. So I'm almost done with those two games, but I don't like, in between like maintaining the channel and all the work that I have to do to maintain the channel, I don't really have a lot of time to play. So when I do get time, that's what I'm doing. That's where you find me.
Okay. And I don't, well, you might have some serious gamers on your channel, but I don't judge because I'm stuck on Crash Bandicoot and I can't play past any levels. So I listen, I've had the game probably like 2 or 3 years at this point. So I definitely understand. Well, I don't judge.
Oh no, Crash Bandicoot is amazing. No judgment there. I mean, that's an iconic game character.
I play a couple of games here and there, a little Assassin's Creed, a little GTA, a little,
Nice. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They just re-released Grand Theft Auto 5 for like the sixth time. On next generation systems, like on PlayStation 5 and Xbox. So yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot of people are getting mad at that. They want Grand Theft Auto 6, myself included, it is what it is.
Same. I just finished the GTA 5. Like I don't. I thought I finished it before, and I turned on my game, and I'm like, I have more missions, so I just finished it. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the next one. And what the heck? I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Man, this has been an amazing interview. Like, this is probably one of my favorite ones that I've done.
oh yeah, this has been good. I've so enjoyed talking to you, and I thank you like for this. This has been so fun.
Yeah. Oh man. No, so that is gonna do it for this episode of Classic Conversations. I am Izzy, she is Gigi, and we are out of time. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Bye. Thanks. You.